Well, hello everyone. My name is Matt Harbage. I'm the Regional Agronomy Director at Heritage Cooperative for our northern region. I'm here today. I want to talk to you guys about opportunities at Heritage Cooperative that we have with our regional cooperative, Land O'Lakes. They have a sustained movement that they're a part of and that they're allowing us to partake in and have an opportunity to provide to our growers. What Sustain is, you might be asking, is a program that Land O'Lakes is partnering with private food manufacturers. There's a sustainability movement to label products from source to the store, and they want to make sure that growers are following certain protocols and conservation practices to produce the food. And Land O'Lakes and Heritage have been partners and cooperative members together, and we want to offer our growers, and we decided to jump all in 2018 and sign up to be the first partner in the state of Ohio in the Truterra platform that they're using to implement with the growers. The Truterra platform is what the Sustain movement uses to track conservation practices. It's a technology tool. You can get it on your iPad, your computer. There's a platform that growers can track their fields, their practices, their yields. It's a data center to make sure that the conservation practices they're doing on their farm are tracked and are making an impact. And why do we do this? Well, it's the right thing to do, number one. And I think most growers want to do the right thing. And the right thing, in my definition, to keep it short, that we do every day at Heritage, is we like to apply the right amount of fertilizer in the right places at the right time. And we like to use different tools, such as no-till practices, different conservation practices that tie in with various government programs such as NRCS, EQIP, WIP. The state of Ohio has some conservation practices as well, and we're partnering with them. And we are also partnering with Pheasants Forever to help provide us an opportunity to actually write some nutrient management plans and become a better partner, not only with the state of Ohio, the private industry, and our growers that actually produce the food and the fibers that we need for the private industry. We're trying to culminate that all together, and we're working with companies such as Campbell's Soup, and they have many different brands that they operate under, but in the state of Ohio, in our region, in the Heritage Cooperative territory, they have Pepperidge Farms, which takes in a lot of wheat to produce for such items that you may have seen in the store, like Lance crackers, the Pepperidge Farms goldfish crackers, and the Snyder's pretzels. And to provide those, they have a goal by 2025 at Campbell's Soup to produce and label that 50% of the ingredients they get from our farmers and our growers come from sustainable practices that they're following. And they have partnered with Land O'Lakes and Heritage Cooperative. And it's just the right thing to do. It's the best thing that we can do for consumers to help educate them and help educate ourselves on how consumers buy and how we can service those consumers. And we can actually get the practices on the farm with the government and government programs, and using things like cover crops. That's a big initiative in my region, the areas that I cover, with H2 Ohio and certain Lake Erie watershed regulations. We want to be a good partner, and we already are following that stuff. So this is about making sure that we document that stuff with our growers and making sure that the message gets out that we follow sustainable practices, and that all of our growers and our agronomy salespeople that we have on staff, we all have the same goal in mind. We want to grow the best crop we can grow with the best impact on the economics of it for the grower, but also for the environment. That is, you don't think that most of the time, maybe in the retail agronomy world, that such outfits like Heritage might not have that as a top priority, but it's amazing when you look at what you really want to accomplish with a sustained movement like we're involving ourselves in. And Campbell's Soup, our goals align. We want the same thing. We all want to grow the best food we can provide to the consumers, and we want to do it in the most sustainable method possible.
Lee, how do you start the conversation with farmers, or how does the conversation start itself, and how do you help farmers set benchmarks and measure success around efforts around sustainability?
Well, the Truterra program has an insight engine that we can run scenarios for that grower for each field. Gives us what the results are going to be, whether the greenhouse gas emissions are going to be reduced, the soil loss is going to be reduced, and run different scenarios to see what's going to be the best for that situation. We have this year signed on with a public-private agronomy conservation program between Fish and Wildlife Foundation, NRCS, and Truterra to hire a conservation specialist working with Heritage and all our salespeople. And that person is going to train our agronomists, provide farmer outreach. If the salesman needs a little help there, he can talk to them, lead training sessions, connect with our state and local conservation partners, serve as an expert in the federal programs of conservation title of the Farm Bill. So, that is something that we're excited about that not everybody has to offer.
Okay. Well, we're talking about sustainable farming a little bit. How does this, let's do a transition here. How does the data and the information transfer, how does that play into sustainable farming? I mean, obviously I could be sustainable without all that tech, but don't they kind of work hand in hand nowadays?
Yeah, for us, every decision we make is pretty much data driven. I mean, from variable rating fertilizer to variable rating seed. I mean, I think it in the future we'll probably variable rate our cover crops here in the next couple of years. I really think it's going to get to that. Just for organic matter purposes, for soil health purposes. And I'm glad, like you talked earlier, I'm glad that we adopted technology so soon, because in a year like this, it paid off. I mean, to be able to have everything at a push of a button, to be able to get our planting prescriptions, or to send them back our planting data, so we can get things rolling on our nitrogen recs for side dressing. I mean, all that stuff's important, and it all goes hand in hand. And especially in a year like this, it's very nice to have that we can do all that without meeting face to face. But data drives our decisions, especially, I mean, our harvest data is probably the most important. And if we don't record that, then I get very frustrated and angry, let's put it that way, because I need that data for the next year. And we learn from every year, whether it's a dry year or a wet year, we definitely learn from our data. And that's what's the most important thing, is we have to be able to learn from that data.
But that, you bring up a good point when we talk about agronomics and the modeling and then sustainability. You really want to put that nitrogen out when the crop needs it, not when it's going to flow to the river, right?
Yeah.
Are you doing more of that, Brad? Is that how you look at that? I mean, are you able to do that? What are you seeing?
Yeah. So, I mean, in Ohio here, we've had our Lake Erie has kind of driven a lot of our decisions. Luckily, we've kind of been on the front edge, the leading edge of that, especially on our farm with the cover crops and the strip till. Having those nutrients where that crop can take them up and not have to go look for them is the biggest thing. And we can be more efficient with our nutrients, especially strip tilling. We're putting less nitrogen on up front now. We're coming back with at least one side dress pass, if not two side dress pass, because we know that corn needs that nitrogen late in the cycle. But there's, in our area at least, I think the amount of people putting all their nitrogen up front is slim. It's getting lower less and less every year, just because it's not economical to do that as well, because you don't know when it's going to be available. You don't know how much it's going to flow away. I mean, like we got that 5 inches of rain there in May. I mean, how much did they lose? I mean, and so that's what we really adapt. I mean, it's not a one pass and done anymore. I mean, you really have to work harder for the crop, but you're being more efficient doing that. I mean, you might make more passes, but you're really saving more money and making more money in the long run, because that crop's getting the nutrients when it needs it.
You made a statement that I have farmers questioning me on. Cover crops have been profitable for you. What's the payback? Because usually I got to pay for the seed and I got to pay for the planting. How does the cover crop make me money?
Well, when you only have, if you can no-till in the right conditions in the spring and you only have one pass, you save 2 or 3 passes across the field. Okay. Have these guys price a deep rip. I mean, what's it cost you per acre to go out and buy that $100,000 ripper and then run it across that? I mean, yeah, fuel's cheap now, but you still have time, you still have horsepower to pull that. We put cover crops on with rolling baskets, we've flown them on. Our best beans we've ever raised have been no-till behind rock, and that's just it's just work for us. Now this year, the last 2 years, we've had challenges, but we still raised, I mean, we had 60 bushel beans planted June 28th last year. And then,
Wow.
and that doesn't, I mean, it's just crazy. We stopped planting and we never should have stopped planting, but we've had we've completely changed farms around. One of our toughest farms averaged mid 40 beans on it. We go beans back to beans. This would have been 3 years ago. Beans back to beans with rye in between it. It goes from 48 up to 68. Okay, we get wet again. Put rye in between the beans again. So we're beans 3 years in a row. Their yield's supposed to go down. We still have, that was last year. Then we pulled 60 bushel beans off that again, planted June 28th. So we've changed our toughest crop by not, and it hasn't been chiseled. We used to chisel it every year just to do everything we can to try to loosen up that soil. But just by making that little change to a cover crop, in 3 years, the farm has completely changed. Now it's got a beautiful corn crop on it. It probably could be the best corn that farm's ever raised.
I'm Myron Wehr, live in New Waterford, Columbiana County, Ohio, real close to the Pennsylvania state line. Well, today it consists of corn, soybeans. We've had quite a bit of barley this year and wheat. Looking at new things and see how new things would fit my operation, whether it be agronomic things, seed things, equipment things. And I've seen a lot of changes in the way we farm in my lifetime. And they've all been involved with what I'm talking about. Always soil testing everything, but I think grid soil sampling and variable rate fertilizer and lime applications have helped, maintain and increase the yields on the farm acres I'm farming. As far as the grid soil sampling and variable rate fertilizer goes, we've increased yields on the poor areas in the fields and reduced the amount of inputs on the good areas and stuff to increase the average yield. My corn planter is 11 years old. We've put precision meters on it. We've put electric drives on it. Those things have helped with the seed placement. Rather than buying a whole new planter with everything, we've just updated the older planter, and it's doing an excellent job for me. The beans that we've been planting after barley, they've been making 35 to 40 bushel per acre. And we've taken 80 bales of straw off of here, and we took 100 bushels a acre barley off. And then if we get 35 bushels of soybeans off of this field this year, it's my most profitable field, this rotation. But where we're planting cover crops after we take beans off, we basically got a living, growing thing 12 months out of the year. That's sustainable for the soil and maintaining it for next generation.
Sometimes in agriculture, we don't do a good job of telling our story, and this is about how we're doing our job and producing said food and fiber. And this is an opportunity for us to show the world and show our consumers and show our growers, this is our story and we do things right, and everybody's goal is to do that. I don't think anybody would disagree with the principle of sustain and the Truterra Insights engine. So if you have any interest in getting signed up and taking advantage of the Truterra system at Heritage Cooperative, contact your local agronomy salesperson. We have an ag technology team of people throughout the whole entire organization that aid and support this effort. So we can get a team out there to talk to you and see how you can fit into the sustained movement with Heritage Cooperative and the Truterra platform.